fact is, those organizations that digitally transform not only survived the crisis, but thrived. For the rest, it's the only way forward. As cyber and physical worlds blend, there is no transformation without converged security. Alert Enterprise, integrated with SAP solutions, connects security across HR, IT, physical, and OT systems, accelerating your digital transformation for the new era of work.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today. We're happy to be here for Sapphire again this year, and our topic is why digital transformation and converged security are the only ways forward. My name is Mark Weatherford, and I'm joined today by Jasper Gill, the founder and CEO of Alert Enterprise. Hello, Jasper. How about we begin with a little quick update on Alert Enterprise?
Hi, Mark. Likewise, I'm very happy to join the session. So Alert Enterprise is about bridging the silos between HR, IT, physical security for making security frictionless, making security a business enabler, in addition to mitigating complex threats like cyber physical attacks, insider threat, workplace violence, and so on.
Thanks, Jasper. Yes, it's an exciting time too. And we're going to get into that with some of the questions we have today. But so let's begin with the human experience management, or HXM, is a major theme and driving force for rethinking human resources in the new era of work. And HXM is about putting people and their experiences at the center of everything, making work not only easier, but more individualized for their employees. So how does security play a role in supporting and shaping the moments that matter to employees?
When a new employee joins, the first thing they need is the badge. How can security automate the whole process and engage in every part of life? When people are in an office, traveling, or moving from one role to another role, physical security is always engaged in making sure they have the right access to do their job in a way where they don't become a risk to the organization. So play a very important role.
Yeah, and I think the important thing there that you hit on is what a way to introduce a new employee to the company. They show up on the first day and they already have it. You don't go through the traditional process of 2 weeks of getting a badge and 2 weeks to get access to your computer and get keys and get phones. And so you can do it all on day one. That's the way to engender loyalty in your employees. Why is now a great time for HR and security leaders to be working together?
Safety has taken a new dimension, and obviously compliance with the COVID mandates. HR and physical security, they are part of the COVID-19 Action Committee. They have to work together to address it. So it's probably, I think COVID has become a catalyst. They should have been working together all the time anyways. But I don't think now there is a choice. They have to work together to really make sure, one, to do the basic things to be in compliance, but also to ensure the safety of the workforce.
Yeah, and I think we're only going to see more momentum in that direction for sure. So without, and maybe aside from technology, what challenges do businesses face in balancing the need for enforcing policy and maintaining productivity while managing this employee experience?
Yeah, this is actually depending on industry. Every industry has a reason to make sure that people have the right access. I'll give you some examples. So for example, in the utility sector, before you have access to certain areas, these could be the control rooms, substations. For oil and gas, it could be refineries. For manufacturing companies, it could be plants. Before you have that access, you have to have certain training, background, or certification, even for the data centers for all industries. So making sure people have the right training, certification before they get physical access to those facilities. You don't want people to get hurt. There could be safety violations. There are industries where if somebody's training or certification expires, you have to disable their badge access because you don't want people who are not certified to be in those locations and all.
And I would add to that the whole compliance piece. I mean, if you have employees that are working on things when their certifications are out of compliance, that can be a regulatory issue resulting in a fine or even damage to the facility. So absolutely get it 100%. So let's transition here a little bit. So managing thousands or maybe even hundreds of thousands of employees who are now returning to offices is going to be a monumental and complex task for HR and security leaders. So how does the Alert Enterprise Guardian platform simplify this process for them and make work easier and perhaps more individualized to each employee?
In fact, when COVID happened, we felt that things might slow down, but you won't believe the week after we got calls from our very high-profile customers across the globe. They said, "Here's why we need your help." So when we bring people back to work, we want to make sure they're healthy. So every time when somebody comes in, we want to there's self-attestation. People say, "Yeah, I'm feeling healthy." And in some cases, they're checking the temperature. There are flare cameras to check the fever and all. So you want to make sure that yes, they're healthy to come back in, and then you activate the badge real time. So that's the automation where HR, IT, facilities, real estate to really automate that whole process. Secondly, once people come back to work, if somebody tests positive, now you want to know where this person was in last X number of days, who else was there, who might have been impacted, so that you can take appropriate action. Doing that manually, it's impossible.
No, and so that leads kind of where I wanted to go, and I know you have seen HR and security collaboration, how it's driven innovation and positive business outcomes.
I'll start with one of the companies. It's a Fortune 100 company, 185 locations worldwide, and they have their real estate spend is over $700 million. They have buildings, high rises in all the big cities across the globe. And when they started the whole project, security seemed like in their words, it's like a necessary evil. It's a cost center. Nobody really saw the value. Just like the example you were giving, the new employee comes in, it takes few days, sometimes few weeks to get a badge. And so obviously it was really not a good experience. So the head of security said, we need to change that. And this, I think the whole directive came from the CEO level. But when we started the whole process, one was, having one badge across all the facilities. They might have different systems. You want to leverage the existing systems. The moment you hire somebody in HR, you want to activate their badge right away. When they travel from, let's say, New York to London, for the duration of travel, their badge should be automatically enabled for the new location, so they don't have to go and get a temporary badge. But in the end, when we did the analysis, so they realized that a big chunk of the space that they had in the buildings was not really needed, because people are always requesting more access than they need. And actually, people don't use that much space. So imagine the savings of just 10 to 20%. So that's like somewhere between 70 million to 140 million, especially now after COVID, because the number of people who will be coming back to work might be a lot less than before. So the whole workspace utilization, optimization, energy savings and all became such a powerful business enabler for this customer. It's such a great enabler. It's reducing risk. It's helping you automate compliance, and it's reducing costs. And the question is, why would you not do that?
Yeah, I think the most beautiful piece of this is how Alert Enterprise is helping to automate all of these formerly manual processes. And the economies of scale and the efficiencies that you gain through that automation is really, really profound. So if there's one thing, if you could ask one thing of this HR audience here, what would you ask them? What would be the one thing that you would want to convey to them?
I would say if you are in the office, go to your physical security and meet with them right now. I mean, they are your best buddies. You should be working together to address everything. If I am the head of HR, I would meet with my physical security or security team as soon as possible. If it is, if you are working remotely, have a Zoom call, but meet with them today.
So let's shift a little bit and let's talk about accelerating digital transformation. We've been talking about COVID and the decades worth of change to businesses that we've seen over the past year or 12 months or so. So those companies that have invested in digitization have thrived and today are better positioned to steer their organizations through not only this disruption, but perhaps future disruptions and protect their businesses and drive future successes. We haven't said the word convergence, I don't think yet, but I think this is really what's happening, and we're talking about security business convergence, where we're bringing different disciplines together, eliminating some of these silos. So, in today's cyber and physical identities are really fragmented. I think this is an obvious question, but why does that need to change? I mean, and how do we change that?
So typical organization lives in silos. Cybersecurity, the CISO is thinking about only firewall, single sign-ons, and so on. So firewall is not going to work, or single sign-on will not protect people physically. Same way, physical security is living in its own silos. So as a result, I think living in silos actually is a recipe for disaster, in my view. And I think it's doing disservice to the organization because one, you are spending more money than you should be in the silos. There's so many overlaps. Everybody's doing their own spending. Secondly, you're not connecting the dots. You find issues after the fact, which is too late. The damage is already done. So convergence really helps you to connect the dots before something happens. Whether it is insider attack, whether it's cyber physical, everything can be identified. You can have much better picture to take appropriate action if you looked at the whole picture together.
Yeah, and I love, one of the things I've heard you say a number of times is by accomplishing this kind of security convergence, then you as a company, whether to send a guy with a gun, a wrench, or a laptop. And today, you often don't know because they're connecting the dots. So
yeah,
the one thing, when I think of as a cybersecurity guy, I'm always worried about the risk of trusting too much, and we've been talking for several years about the quote trust model in security. And I think, by converging and connecting some of these, disparate technologies, it allows us to create more trust within the organization and identify those people, those functions, those risks that fall outside of that trust window. I took three major things out of this conversation. And I think one really key thing, especially for this audience, is that Alert Enterprise helps with the employee experience, with the workforce experience. And that's obviously key to the HR audience. And we've been saying this for years, that security needs to be more of a business enabler. I think you've showed very, very clearly how Alert Enterprise helps companies take security and help it to make it a business enabler. And then related to that, I think, convergence has been a topic of discussion for at least 10 years, probably 20 years. I think we're now at a place where convergence is creating environments that are not just more secure, but they're more efficient. And that efficiency is helping companies to save money, to do the other things, to help security be a business enabler, to help the workforce experience. So Jasper, thank you so much for joining us today, and hope you have an enjoyable time at Sapphire. Thank you very much.